Hi, this is Rick Brandenburg for Turf Bugs and Rock and Roll. And here in North Carolina over the last month, we've gone through some rather dramatic weather extremes. The last 2 weeks of May were really hot, temperatures in the mid-90s, and we had virtually no rain. Then once we got to June, the temperatures cooled off into the 80s, and we actually had 6 inches of rain in just a period of 1 week. So two very dramatic differences. And what we don't really think about too often is we usually know that, hey, this impacted the turf grass, in this case Bermuda grass. Once we got the rain, it was still warm, the Bermuda grass really greened up and took off. But we really don't think too much about the pests and what that means relative to the condition and the health of the plant based upon the recent weather conditions. And that's really important because under certain weather conditions, the plant's going to be very healthy, but it also encourages certain pests, and under certain conditions, the plant may not be so healthy, but other pests are encouraged at that time. So it's really important that we look at both the health of the plant based on the weather conditions and the likelihood for pests and their ability to cause a problem under those weather conditions. So what we've got here is Bermuda grass. It's really rocking and rolling right now because the temperatures are warm. We've had a lot of rain on it in the last week, and it's really up and going. And if you had a population of white grubs here right now, you wouldn't even notice it because the growing conditions are so good. This is the time of year for Bermuda grass to really move forward and grow. But you know, this is the time, this is June, this is the time when the Japanese beetles, the masked chafers, the green June beetles, they're flying around, they're laying eggs, and when it's nice and green like this, daytime flyers like green June beetles and Japanese beetles will really focus in on this. So actually it's at higher risk because it is so lush right now. And the fact that there's good soil moisture and the turf is healthy means it could tolerate more grubs at this point, but we don't know what the weather's going to be like in July and August, and perhaps we get into a drought, and then the pruned root system from the grubs feeding, it's really going to stress this turf grass out, even though it is a warm season turf. And obviously with a cool season turf grass, it's going to be stressed even more if it can't really take up much moisture because of a pruned root system during the hot summer months. So understanding the relationship when everything's really healthy and green, like right now, this is very attractive to certain insects. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in late May, when it was really, really hot and dry and the temperatures were 95, the turf grass, the Bermuda grass was under stress. That makes it susceptible to Bermuda grass mites, to zoysia grass mites, to southern chinch bugs and St. Augustine grass. It really likes to take advantage of the plant when it's stressed, which doubles up the impact that it has as a pest. So it's really important to stop and think about which type of turf grass do I have? What conditions do the pests like? How does that contribute to the likelihood of those pests showing up? And most importantly, what does that mean as far as really potentially damaging my turf grass? So to try to sum it all up, just as we know that diseases are greatly influenced by the environmental conditions, and the environmental conditions that encourage or support or increase plant diseases may not be the same as those environmental conditions that promote good growth of a turf grass, whether it be a cool season or a warm season. The exact same thing is true with insects. There are certain environmental conditions, such as example in the spring, good, warm, moist soil, which encourages beetles to lay eggs and the eggs to hatch, mole crickets to lay eggs and the eggs to hatch, hot, dry conditions encouraging chinch bug populations, of understanding what conditions encourage those outbreaks and what that means as far as the overall health of the plant and the potential those insects have for doing damage. If you have a really good irrigation system on warm season turf, you may be able to minimize the impact even a relatively high population of grubs would have, simply because you can maintain good plant health during an optimal time of growth and development of that plant. I know it sounds complicated. It's not that different from disease management, and we'll talk about this more, especially when we talk a little bit about mole crickets and some of those as they develop during the summer. Hope that helps. Look forward to talking with you again soon.